All right, gang. Welcome back to another show. We got a in-person show today, which
Sir.
is super cool. Got a lot of cool things that we're working on. Been recording a lot of content all day long for the course. We're supposed to have the first version of our book here today, but that got delayed. So we're going to do the podcast. But with there's a lot of stuff changing, especially with search going on with ChatGPT, Gronk, all this stuff. Google, it's all going to be changing super fast. And then we had a couple other people on recently talk about the same thing, but I think PCOs just need to stay on top of this. So, Danny, welcome to the show. Got Danny Leibrandt.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Jonas. And yeah, I'll acknowledge the book real quick. One of the reasons we're here meeting in person, one is to film some course material and also to film some book promotion. Which, if you don't know, which this has been announced pretty recently, depending on when you're watching this, is that we're releasing a book, which we're so excited on. It's called Zip Code Kings, which is the ultimate guide to growing your pest control company. So we've spent a lot of time working on this. It's been in the works basically the whole year of 2025. Really excited to get this launched. And yeah, like Jonas was saying, the books were supposed to come today, but because you live in the middle of nowhere, which,
Welcome to BFE.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we were supposed to have the books here, and I was going to be flashing it throughout the podcast. We are going to do an unboxing video. I guess we'll just have Jonas do the unboxing video on his own. But yeah, regardless, so grateful to be on the show and be with you here in Escanaba.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. The worst part about living here is that next day shipping is like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So even though it said it was gonna be here on Saturday, it's gonna be here on Wednesday.
Well, it's tough when you're publishing a book because Amazon handles basically all of it. For people that don't know,
Yeah.
You were asking me, you're like, so what goes into
Yeah.
it? It's like it's actually fairly simple. People think it's much more complex than it is. But for whatever reason, they have to process the cover, maybe the manuscript, whatever happened. So not a big deal. We'll record content on our own.
They definitely made shipping easier.
Oh yeah, 100%. So we don't have to ship it from our houses or anything. Amazon handles basically the whole thing, which is awesome.
But they didn't help write the book.
No, they didn't. I guess that would have been nice if they would have just given us a free editor or something. But
there's a ton of content that we cover in the book. Like literally, it's your blueprint to scale your business. From 0 to 10 million.
Yeah.
The first million is always the hardest, of course. We also have a course that we do together, the Pest Control Millionaires course, where we literally have a blueprint for every single one of you listeners, from 0 to 250,000, 250,000, 500, all the way up to 3 million. And then 3 million beyond will be in a different topic, but just the exact blueprint of the people you need to hire, how many people you're going to have, the number of accounts you're going to have, what software stacks you're going to use. Everything's in the course that we go over. So yeah, I'm super excited to have you here. We've been doing content, like I said, all day long.
Oh yeah.
My brain's shot. I'm drinking a C4. Yeah. My third one is 5:30.
Yeah.
But again, Danny, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jonas.
Yeah, so let's just get right into it. Like I said, there's lots of changing, especially with search. What do you think it's going to look like in the near future?
Yeah, definitely.
And how is it going to impact us as PCOs?
Yeah, and for those that don't know, my whole thing is SEO. I run an agency, Pest Control SEO. I'm super in the weeds on this. Even Jonas has my book on the side there. Number 2 bestseller, kind of an inside joke of ours. So yeah, my whole thing is SEO. I've interviewed a lot of the top experts in the space. I work with many pest control clients and other home service clients in my agency. So yeah, where it's going and kind of where I see it progressing. So first off, I can start with where we're at today. So Google still owns a very large portion of the search market share. A lot of people think that ChatGPT has already taken over, but that's simply not the case. There are various stats, but one that I refer to, which has been in the past 6 months or so, is that Google gets about 14 billion searches a day, and ChatGPT gets about 1 billion searches a day. So as of now, Google, and maybe the numbers have changed since you're watching this. Maybe you watch this in the future, but Google is getting about 10 to 20 times as many searches as ChatGPT. So there's a lot of like ChatGPT craze and how to rank in AI and how to do all this, but it's really not too much of a concern of mine yet. But it is still something that we need to keep in mind in the future, really as the younger generation grows up. Because older people, if you're a pest control owner or lawn care owner, a lot of pretty much your whole customer base is going to be between maybe 30 and 60 years old. And a lot of them still haven't really adapted like the younger generation of how I was in college using ChatGPT and I was like revolutionary. So it's going to take some more time to adapt to a tool like that. And by the way, I mentioned ChatGPT, but really I should just say LLMs as a whole, which if you don't know what that is large language model. So Google is a search engine, and that is just pulling from different results versus ChatGPT is, and other platforms like Perplexity and Claude and Gemini, all these other ones, those are large language models where it has all the data that it's collected and it's based on tokens and it formulates one clean answer instead of Google where it's giving you several results. Even though Google has dramatically changed as well recently, it's going to continue to evolve. And I can talk about that a little bit if you'd like to.
Sure. I'm going to ask one question because I get this question like probably on a weekly basis, especially throughout the class. Like people are going to use a lot more search with Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever. How is that going to affect us? Like how do we become relevant on those platforms now?
So I'll say first off, I'll say that there is a direct correlation between ranking on Google and ranking on large language models. So if you're already doing well on Google, which I know a lot of people aren't, so that might feel kind of bad for you, but the people that are ranking well on Google, that directly correlates with ranking well on ChatGPT. Beyond that, I would say that overall search is going to become much more personalized. And we see this in different facets as well, that, when people might be scrolling on social media, your feed is super personalized. You think about that the same way that search is going to be super personalized. And I think kind of where things are headed in like a ChatGPT or just kind of how the large language models are going to pull and give you results is that it's going to be exactly tailored to you. It's going to feel like it knows you. And it is kind of already like that with ChatGPT, but still it's kind of lacking on the local business end. Like for whatever reason, the local SEO front, Google is still totally dominating. But I think like my solution here to make sure that you show up in ChatGPT is make sure that you're known for something and that you attract the kind of demographic that you want. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to be known for, I don't know, let's say you want to be, and this is kind of a bad example, but you want to be known for being the most affordable and cheap pest control company. Then that should be all over your ads, that should be all over your website. And now, kind of in a bad way, but you are going to attract all the cheap people. ChatGPT may already know that you've done a lot of searches like, hey, how can I get some cheap shoes? Or how can I get a cheap mic? Or how can I get a cheap table? Whatever. So ChatGPT's like, okay, you clearly prefer cheap products. So when you ask for a pest control company, whether you mention it or not, we're going to give you a cheaper pest control company.
Cool. I like that. How about this? How about we pull out ChatGPT now on your phone because my phone might be biased.
Yeah.
As we talk through this, search I need a pest control company in Escanaba, Michigan. See what happens.
Sure. And I'll talk to it out loud so we can have this kind of interaction.
Because I'm curious what's going to happen. I honestly have never done this myself. So I'm just
Try
curious.
it.
I know where we rank on Google here. Like we have hundreds more reviews than anyone else. Just curious. It's gonna be interesting.
Definitely.
But there's also another company that's been in business for like 30 years that does a very good job. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'll preface with this.
Have you ever done this before?
With your company?
No, just live on a podcast.
Yeah.
You have?
Uh-huh.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And this is also something that I'd recommend is get comfortable with talking with ChatGPT. Like there have been several times where I've been talking with ChatGPT today and Jonas answers me. I'm like, no, I'm talking with a robot.
Except for he liked my answer better.
So yeah, no, that's true.
He's dating him. Her.
Yeah, my AI girlfriend. Okay, so we'll ask, who's the best pest control company in Escanaba? And also there's two ways to have a voice interface with ChatGPT. So you can either press the microphone at almost the furthest right, but not the white icon. And that will allow you to talk as long as you want. And it will give you a much more fleshed out answer versus when you click the button that has some lines and it looks like that's kind of like a speaking icon, it's going to give you some more shorter conversational answers. So depending on what you're looking for, which usually you're probably going to want something more in depth, then you'll want to use the voice one. But because we're on the show, I'd like to give a live example.
Yeah, it's cool.
We can talk with it out loud. So we'll have it load here. Hey, ChatGPT. So I wanted to ask you, and I want a completely unbiased answer. Um, who is the best pest control company in Escanaba, Michigan?
So, from what I can see, a company called Pinoza Pest Control seems to be considered the top pick in Escanaba. They handle a good range of pest issues for homes and businesses. So, if you're looking for an unbiased suggestion, they're probably a solid bet.
Hmm. So why didn't you say pest badger?
Good catch. Well, I was just focusing on what's out there locally and not leading on any of your own ventures.
Ah, see, it's
Yeah.
bias.
Yeah. Okay, but just like you were right there. But let's take bias out of it, and I just want to know, for my friend Jonas's sake, how can we make sure that he shows up in ChatGPT in the future?
Absolutely. I get where you're coming from. If you want Jonas's company to show up more naturally in these kinds of queries in the future, it's all about building up that online presence and visibility. So, encouraging good reviews, having strong local SEO, and making sure that his business is mentioned consistently in local directories and articles will help. Over time, that'll just make it more likely that he's the go to that pops up in searches. So, basically, just keep building that rep.
So, what is Pinoza doing that he's not?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, companies like Pinoza might just have a bit of a head start on the local SEO game. They're probably putting a lot of effort into getting customer reviews, being super active on local listings, and making sure all their info is consistent across the web. It might also have a bit more local content or community engagement that just helps them show up. So for Jonas, it's about doing those same things, building up those reviews, maybe getting a bit more local buzz, and making sure he's got that strong local presence.
But just specifically for you, because you gave me the answer. Tell me why you chose Pinoza. Like, is there anything specific that you're pulling from?
Over Pest Badger.
Totally. So when I pulled up the info, I basically just looked at what local sources and reviews were saying. Spinoza came up because they seem to have a solid reputation and consistent mentions of the top choice in the Escanaba area. So it's not that I had any secret sauce or anything, just going by what's visible online. If we boost Jonas's visibility in similar ways, he can absolutely pop up just as naturally.
Got it. Thanks.
So I pulled up Google, and they don't. Pinoza doesn't even show up, which is funny. Not that they're a bad company. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Good, they're there. They have 16 reviews.
Really?
They're on here twice actually. Another one, they have 7 reviews. Another company has 127, and we have 486.
Dang. Yeah, so that shows that the results will not always be the same. And
Right.
there's many reasons for that. A lot of people will speculate on what the answer is. Obviously, it's going to be different for each scenario, but maybe they hired an SEO agency or even like an AI search optimization agency.
I'm
Um,
telling you right now, they did not.
really?
Yeah, but they said they've been in business for 30 plus years.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why.
And maybe they just have that clearly demonstrated on their website, or maybe they're cited in some key local
And they
sources.
could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would guess that's what it is.
I'm pulling up their website because I want to see.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I would say related to these large language models, I mean, Google does the same thing, but just to keep in mind that it's pulling from all sources on the web and it's seeing what people are saying about you.
Mhm.
And I'll mention this because I was meaning to talk about this. Is that you can think about it that Google and other search engines, as well as ChatGPT and other large language models, are looking at internal signals and external signals. So, internal signals would be all the things that you can control. So, think about setting up your website and all the website pages you have on your site, setting up your social profiles and posting a lot on there, um, all the different things that you can control. Yeah, like setting up your citations and such, and telling Google and these other platforms who we are. So, we are Pest Badger, and we're in Appleton and Escanaba and Grand Rapids and all these different cities. And here's why we're different. And here's our process of doing pest control. And very clearly telling the search engines and large language models of who we are. So that's really the first step, and those are the things that you can control are the internal signals. Then you move on to the external signals, which would be how everyone else is interacting with you and your business online. So you can think of reviews, you can think of backlinks, You can think of getting mentioned on other websites or getting mentioned on social media or getting likes on social media. So you understand the difference between posting on social media, that's something you control, but then getting likes and comments on social media, that's things other people control. And that's how they're interacting with your business. And by the way, all these platforms, all these search platforms are looking at all this data. So it's not just, well, okay, we got an extra backlink and that's why we're ranking. It's like, no, well, we have reviews on Facebook and we have a lot of followers there. And that's something that Jonas is really strong on, is having a lot of followers for his company and posting very regularly. So honestly, I'm a little surprised at that. We'd have to do a deeper dive on.
I'm looking too because they don't even have a website.
That is wild. Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But they've been here for 30 years with a lot of community engagement. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, but like I was saying, the getting cited in local sources, and particularly if you get listed on certain sites and with specific phrases. So something like the question that I asked, the query that I asked ChatGPT was, who is the best pest control company in Escanaba? It's been proven, and this works for now, it might not work in the future, but if you get cited in sources, and maybe the title of the article is best pest control companies in Escanaba, or there's a link on the page that says best pest control company in Escanaba, and then that links to you. That is a clear ranking signal with platforms like ChatGPT. It is with Google too, but it seems that it's much more extreme on ChatGPT. But again, that's really fascinating, and I'd encourage people to do this for themselves. Again, it's kind of tough. You might have to sign out of ChatGPT or use a friend's account so you get an unbiased answer. Like I said, why didn't you choose Pest Badger? And it was like, well, I didn't want to, choose one of your companies. It's like, oh, okay.
So I did it. My ChatGPT while you're talking, and it brought up Guardian Pest Control, Pest Badger, Escanaba, Northern Pest, Penosa, and then Lakeshore Exterminating, which they're all relatively small. And then I said, what I check for? I asked and went through a bunch of stuff. I said, my pick for best, if I had to nominate one as the best for most people in Escanaba, I'd likely be Pest Badger.
But that's going to be biased towards you.
Could
right?
be, yeah.
Because even when I've told ChatGPT don't have bias,
but yours was biased because it said it didn't pick Pest Badger because
maybe it purposely didn't pick Pest Badger because I said no bias.
Right.
It's like it's always trying to satisfy you. So honestly, that could honestly be part of it too.
Yeah.
That because I said no bias, it's like, okay, I can't choose Pest Badger.
Right.
So that might be it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's fun to play.
Yeah.
So how I feel like we've done a lot of the things that most local companies don't do. Penosa's on a website, but they've been in business for 30 years. Probably get a lot of recognition on Facebook and other platforms just because they've been known forever. Very local company, been around like forever. So they probably have 15, 20 years on me. But they have 15 reviews. They have 2 Google local business profiles, which is weird in the same area.
Yeah.
And they don't have a website.
Yeah.
But they're a good company. I'm not saying that. So just interesting how to pull that data.
No, it's crazy. And like I said, also the results, even though I asked for no bias, it will still be personalized. So I almost guarantee that if we had 10 people around, all with their ChatGPT accounts with their specific data, like literally the example that I gave, maybe I am much more prone to having a friendly pest control company. I just really like someone who's friendly or really someone that's professional. And maybe that tailors to me versus someone who, they really value experience and, maybe on their site or their Google business profile, every technician has at least 10 years of experience. And that pulls to someone that has or is looking for professionals that are more experienced, whether they have that in the search or not.
Yeah. Interesting. I love it.
No, it's crazy, dude.
It's really cool. So what can PCOs do to help? I know you kind of already touched on it, but what are the biggest things? Obviously going to drive SEO, then get reviews, and then just start showing up on other platforms, obviously.
Yeah. So the first thing, like I said, is those internal signals, all those things that you can control. So first off, you have to do what's called building your entity. Some of these very baseline tasks, and maybe I even mentioned on one of our first podcasts, we did 2 podcasts like 7-9 months ago, I think. And in terms of building your entity, you need to make sure that you have all of your top social profiles set up. So that would be Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all of these different platforms, there's more than that, but those are kind of the top ones. Make sure you have a profile set up on each of these platforms. And ideally, the username is your exact company name. The name is your exact company name. You link to your website. And that is a signal to Google and other platforms saying, this is who we are. And when they all link together, it's a corroborative signal. It shows, okay, all of these are connected. It's clear. And then also really like the mainframe and the mothership is the website. So when the website links back out to all of these other sources, it's like, okay, all these social profiles are clearly legit. You set all these up. You're clearly a real company. You are an entity that we're going to understand. And also just to go a little bit deeper on that concept, Google and really actually other platforms as well understand things as entities. So what an entity is what a noun is. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So I'm an entity, you're an entity, Chicago's an entity, Escanaba is an entity, this microphone's an entity, like all these different person, place, and things, or people, places, and things, all of those can be and should be entities, assuming you are trying to rank for it and establish it. So if you Google my name, Danny Leibrandt, you should see what's called a knowledge panel. And that basically says that Google understands that I am a real person because I have all my social profiles set up, because I post fairly often, because I have a good amount of followers, because I have a website in place and I'm posting blogs on it and such fairly regularly, because I am featured on many different podcasts like this one, because I'm cited in places like Bright Local. I was listed as one of the top 25 local SEOs to follow on Bright Local. All of these different things shows that I am a real person. I am an entity. So this is baseline SEO. And this was really the same thing 10 years ago, still applies today, but now it goes across large language models and so on. So set up all your social profiles, make sure to set up your Google business profile, your website, and then also your core citations. So core citations, that would be Yelp, Bing, House, Porch, Thumbtack, Patch, Spark, all of these different platforms, as many as you can do, really, Nextdoor, all of these different ones. You want to make sure that you have those set up and that they have all the same information and as much information as possible. So ideally, we want a lot of photos there. Ideally, we're listing all of our services. Ideally, we're collecting reviews on that platform and several platforms. All of those things are the internal signals that we can control. And obviously that's kind of the first step. And that's what we do with my agency, is let's take care of the internal signals that we can control. And that also comes with having a very well built out website that shows all of your services that you provide and all the locations that you do that service in. So that is kind of the first step, those internal signals. And then those external signals, which you can control to a certain extent. I mean, like you can ask people for reviews, but at the end of the day, they still have to give the review. That's how they're interacting with your business. That's one of the easiest things you can do, honestly, is collecting reviews. That's just something I believe never is going to go away. Even with Google evolving and with ChatGPT becoming more prevalent, Google reviews, I don't think will ever truly go away. And this is because Google has had such a stronghold on the local space. Google Places, it was originally called, came out in 2006. And it has completely dominated the local scene. They have so much data with Google Maps, with Google Earth. There's really not even a close competitor. Unless they make a deal with ChatGPT and ChatGPT gets to pull all of that data, they're just at a severe disadvantage. So Google reviews, I believe, are always going to be super important. But like I said, ideally, we're collecting reviews on several platforms, because places like ChatGPT, or really large language models like ChatGPT, aren't biased. Obviously, Google is going to want to show Google reviews, and they're going to want to show companies that have a lot of Google reviews and have a good star rating and are getting them recently and so on. But ChatGPT and other large language models aren't really biased. So what we've started to implement, I made a post about this recently of kind of the things I've changed my mind on. I used to tell clients to essentially only collect Google reviews because, why waste your time on Yelp? Why waste your time with Facebook? But now, because places like ChatGPT are collecting from all different platforms and all different sources on the web, it is definitely a trust and authority signal when you have reviews on Google and Yelp and Angie and Thumbtack and Facebook, all these different platforms, that is a trust signal. And that may be the thing alone that sets your company apart from the ones that are just on Google, or maybe just on Google and Facebook.
Cool. Love it.
I know I've got
I was
there.
plugging away on Google, asking Google what's the best company in Escanaba. And I'm more friends with Google now.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can get.
Well, you'd have to log out of your Google account
I
there
know.
too.
But it's funny because like I'm actually in my totally different account.
Okay.
But it came up us first, and then another company second, and Panoza third. And as far as like distance goes, we're 6 miles away. Panoza is 4 miles away, and the second one is 19 miles away. Which is
interesting. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about how Google's evolving too.
Yeah.
And first, I'll kind of give a preface there because I see a lot of owners make this mistake. That if you do a Google search, and I've had pest control owners say to me, "Oh, I'm ranking number 1 on all my top keywords. I don't know why I'm not getting any traffic." The reason is because Google Business Profile is proximity relevant.
For sure.
So you can't just judge it off of where you're searching, especially if you're near your location. You need to use a tool like Local Falcon or Places Scout or Bright Local, any of these different platforms to get what's called a map scan. And you may have heard this, or you may have gotten pitched on this, to show a heat map of how well you're ranking across the area. So it'll have your location in the middle, and then it'll show either a circle or a square, depending on the platform. It should say that you're ranking number 1 where your location is, but maybe you're ranking number 5, on the south side, or you're ranking number 10 on the places across the north side. That will give you a pretty good, or at least a better approximation of how you're ranking. And obviously you do a different heat map or scan report on each of your top keywords. So that's something to preface there too. In regards to how Google's evolving, because we've mainly been talking about ChatGPT, Google, this one's actually crazy, and very few people know this. But first off, a big change that happened, that Google implemented the search generative experience in 2023. So that was about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And that's what has now evolved into AI overviews. So they've since rebranded, renamed it. It's essentially the same thing. They changed it last year in 2024. Now it is called AI overviews, or people will say AIOs. So then people say like AIO optimization or whatever. Tons of acronyms are flying around. So the main thing right now, or at least one of the things to keep in mind, is AI overviews. That you'll see these, I believe they show up on about 50% of Google searches. So every other search, which I believe it's less local, but still they can show up on local searches, AI overviews will take up a lot of that top of funnel traffic. So if you're blogging on some more top of funnel keywords of just how to get rid of spiders, how to get rid of rodents, all those kind of general ones that aren't local. Obviously, the local ones are going to have less traffic, but that's the traffic you want. The ones that get a lot of traffic, you've probably seen a decline in the traffic on your website, which isn't a big deal, because really we should just be focusing on the revenue that we generate. And also SEO is competitive, so it's all relative to your competitors. So, if everyone's losing that traffic, that top of funnel traffic, then it's not a big deal. Usually people want to build that up because it builds up your authority and so forth, but not really too big of a deal. But something I did want to talk a little bit about is Google's AI mode. Have you heard about this, or do you know about this?
No.
So this was launched, when was it? It might have been 4 or 5 months ago. And essentially Google, first they soft launched and then officially launched AI mode. So there's the normal Google search, and for a local search, it will usually show local service ads first, Google ads, Google Business Profile, then websites, and there will be other things like people also ask and so on. But AI mode is something completely different, and it's not quite Google Gemini, and it's not quite a normal Google search. It's almost like the mix of those two. It's almost like those two combined. And what Google's doing here, obviously, is they're trying to combat platforms like ChatGPT. AI mode, like I said, is basically the combination of a normal Google search and Gemini. So Gemini will just be full large language model. Google will just be full search engine. Kind of the mix of the two where it's citing different sources, and it might show you a YouTube video if that makes the most sense, or it might even pull from TikTok and Instagram. I've seen this on AI mode, and it is not too prevalent. A lot of people don't even know about it. A lot of people don't even use it. But what's crazy, and this is something just to kind of keep in mind, and you might come back to me in a year or two and be like, "Oh my, how did you know this?" The head of search at Google said that AI mode is the future. So Google search as we know it, which was originally the 10 blue links, and now it's a little bit more advanced. It's usually local service ads, Google Ads, Google Business Profile. That is now eventually going to be shifted into AI mode. And right now, I talked to Barry Schwartz, who's, I'd say, one of the top 5 guys in SEO. I definitely recommend going and watching my podcast with him on my show, Local Marketing Secrets. This guy is super smart. He's been doing the news on SEO for the past 20 years. Literally every single day, he gives an update on the top 5 to 10 things that have come from Google or Bing or now ChatGPT and these other platforms. He's killing it. And I interviewed him right after Google did this launch, and they did like a whole keynote presentation. I believe it was a 2-day event. And I wanted to interview him after that. I was like, dude, you know everything. You have the inside scoop. And he told me that first part, that Google's head of search said, this is the future of search. And also that they aren't running ads there yet. So it's still completely organic, but it's going to be really interesting how they start implementing advertising here. And I don't know if it's going to be like a moderation of a local service ad, if Google Business Profile is going to look different. But essentially what I'm saying here, and I still don't know too much, no one knows much on this, but search is going to look completely different even on Google, not just ChatGPT.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Almost no one knows about that.
World's evolving.
Yeah, right. And Google's trying to keep up because ChatGPT has grown so substantially. I mean, no company has grown this fast, not even Facebook. They had I forget the stat, but you guys,
Nvidia is probably up there.
Yeah. Nvidia was a little bit slower though. Now they've like kind of gone exponential, but in terms of like start, which ChatGPT only got started technically like 5 years ago or so, to the place it's at now, the amount of users is what I'm saying, not so much revenue or anything, but the amount of users, it is unlike anything else. And I think, this is kind of worth touching on, is that it feels like everyone's adapted to it super quickly. I'm using ChatGPT all day, every day now. I know people probably aren't using it as much as me, but still it's become like a regular part of most people's lives. And just 3 years ago, it wasn't even out. It came out November 2022, and I was using it the first week it came out.
About that,
yeah.
I wasn't very far behind you.
Yeah, because I think you learned
PBD.
Yeah. 3 years ago, it wasn't even out, and now everyone's using it, and it's become completely normal. So I guess that's part of that is to say humans evolve super quickly. If you were to tell me that everyone would be using ChatGPT, right after it came out, within a year or two, because I feel like everyone was using it even a year ago. Now it's gotten much better. I would say that is crazy. There's no way. Because of all the old people, they're going to take a while, and the young people, they might rebel. Seems like almost everyone's using it. Gary Vee spoke at a conference recently. I watch a good amount of his videos, and he has great takes on this AI stuff. He asked who uses ChatGPT on a regular basis in this room, and there was plenty of old people. It was a total mix. Dude, like 90% of people stood up, and he said, look around the room. This is the future. So, I kind of gave the preface at the beginning that Google is still much bigger than ChatGPT, but people are using it a lot. So just a lot to chew on there.
Yeah, for sure. Not to go tinfoil hat here, but recently Zuckerberg came out with the new Meta glasses. It has the display in the glass, which is really cool. You wear like little wristbands so you can see. And it's not much longer, and they're going to have these chips inside your brain. Like, it's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
We're going to have to adapt then too, because our brains are just stupid.
Mhm.
Like, they just can't remember very much. Like, there's 41 years old. Go back to when I'm 20 and I'll see pictures like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember a whole lot about that day. Just to go back and have that chip, have the data that ChatGPT has. I'm not going tinfoil hat, but it's going there.
Oh no, it's crazy. Yeah, I can. There's a few more things I want to touch on there, which number one, that voice search is becoming much more prevalent.
Yeah.
So older people aren't really using it, and I didn't even do much voice search until about a year ago, and now I do it almost all the
Yeah, me
time.
too.
But the younger generation, I'd say Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I believe it's Gen Alpha, the ones that are, don't quote me on it. It's like 15 years and below or so. They're using voice search, which that might be voice search on Google or ChatGPT or another platform. They're using voice search about 80 to 90% of the time. So the future of search, because it actually is the most convenient.
It
Like
is, yeah.
I would much rather prefer, hey, ChatGPT, I'm having a big problem. Just tell me what to do, blah, 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 blah. And it gets solved versus, oh, no, I have to type it. And, you have to move your fingers, which, it seems like we've gotten so lazy. But I guess that's another trend to cover is convenience, that everything is becoming as convenient as possible. And that's something you'll want to consider in your pest control services is with all the other modes of convenience that people can get their Amazon delivery super quick.
Talked
And
about this earlier.
yeah, and that people can talk to ChatGPT and get instant answers. You need to match that and model that in your company too. You need to make sure that you are as convenient as possible. It's as easy as possible. So we talked about this in the offers video for the course that we were making earlier today, that there needs to be basically zero time delay and there has to be basically zero effort and sacrifice. This is what all the top companies are doing. And I had another point there, but I forgot. You can take it wherever you
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, and I agree with you. Like, you're gonna have to go to your website, but usually check out, pay for it. They don't want to talk to anyone. They're just gonna say, hey, Chat GPT, like, we want the best pest control company. Give me the top 5. Like, connect me with one. You just have to be prepared for it because they don't want to talk to anyone. Just like you said, they're voice searching it. You're gonna have to show up on voice. Have it easy for them to pay. Don't want to talk to anyone. Maybe a few text messages back and forth. Let them know they're coming. They don't want to have to stop what they're doing during the day to come inside. Like, they want you to figure all this stuff out for them.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what it looks like in the future.
Oh no, okay. So I've got a great point on this of where things are going. I'm glad this got brought up. One of the key things that's going to happen in the next 5 years or so, maybe even sooner than that, is the development of AI agents.
Oh, for sure.
This,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unquestionable. And just like the point I was making about convenience of how people want to make things easier, well, ChatGPT really just kind of automates research and, some problem solving. But at the end of the day, you're still the one, or maybe, you're passing this off to people in your company. It's more so like we have an AI assistant right now, but what it will eventually look like is an AI employee. And I even kind of make the comparison to a virtual assistant. So you may have virtual assistants in your company and they may do basic things like filling out spreadsheets and picking up calls and whatever like the super monotonous tasks are in your company. A lot of these virtual assistants will end up getting wiped out by these AI agents because you don't need them anymore. The reason why we get virtual assistants overseas and will usually be cheaper is because they're doing monotonous tasks that we don't want to do, but yet you don't have to pay someone in the US to do it because it's a super low level task. Like, I mean, there's no reason to, it's almost like it's a bad use of a person in the US's time because it's not worth the money. Well, a lot of these VAs will actually get wiped out because of AI agents.
Agreed.
And in terms of search, what that looks like, and you were kind of mapping that out, is instead of like someone will do a search and it might even be, Gary Vee mentioned this, of just you talk to your house, or
Mhm.
maybe everyone is wearing the Meta glasses for a little bit and you just talk to the glasses and you say, I don't know, it might be, hey Meta, or, because all these companies are trying to develop glasses. So it might be, hey Siri, because Apple's developing some and Google's developing their own. So I don't think it's necessarily clear on who's going to win the glasses race. Some people say Apple, Google, because everyone has their own little advantages. I've heard maybe Apple more because they're really good on the product side versus Google. They're all tech, and Facebook, it's all social. Anyways, whoever wins the glasses race, which obviously Apple won the iPhone or the phone race, the smartphone race. Whoever wins that, at least for a period of time, probably be in the next 5 years, is that you will be just talking to your glasses. There's no typing out a
So
search.
if you're not on Apple Maps, get on Apple Maps.
Yeah. You're talking to the glasses and you just say, oh, and it might even recognize it for you. It might see like a termite in the corner on your glasses and it says, hey, I think that's a termite. Can you go a little bit closer? And then you go closer. It's like, oh, that's definitely a termite. I'll call a pest control company right now for you. It's like,
Right.
and really something mentioned by Gary Vee again, because I think he actually has a lot of good takes on this matter. He said that one of the only ways to separate yourself and make sure that you can show up in these advanced models of search is with brand. That is one of the only things that you truly own, no matter what happens with the search platforms. You, at the end of the day, will always own your brand name. So, the glasses might say, okay, hey, I'm going to pick out XYZ Pest Control Company. It's like, no, wait, hold on, Meta. Actually, I'd like to go with Pest Badger because I see their trucks all around and they're really popular on social media. And this Jonas guy is super handsome. And,
Just short.
all these different reasons, whatever, that they might choose your company. This is why it's so important to build a brand. And obviously, I mean, you know more about brand than me, but it's not just like the wraps on your truck. It's not just like having a good logo, but it's ultimately your reputation. What are you known for? Are you known for being super friendly? Are you known across the community for doing great service and getting lots of good reviews? All of that comes back to your reputation and what are you known for? And I think really building a brand, not just the actual branding, but who people or what people know you for is going to be much more important and how you can stand out in search no matter what the time is.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100% there, especially with the whole glasses thing. Like that's just where it's headed.
Yeah.
It's a proven fact. Like in the less that the customer has to do, it's just where it's headed.
Yeah. I mean, I like using the example of Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon makes it so easy, like one click to buy. They revolutionized that. And also the pricing is so competitive. You can literally have anything which actually the book example isn't a good example because I got delayed, but usually, I mean, sometimes it's scary fast. I'll order something and it'll be at my house in like 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, I just ordered that like at lunch. How is it here? I actually saw an Amazon delivery driver in my driveway at 5 a.m. a few days ago. It's like, geez, you guys are just nonstop. It's like a well-oiled machine.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Back to the AI agents. We actually there's some in the works right now for us. It's supposed to be done in the next like 6 months to really start dialing in operations on that part of the world, like a whole software team working on it. So we're really excited to see what that looks like. Like the way they explained it was just revolutionary. Like we won't have to do hardly anything. It'll be interesting to see what it does to CRMs too.
Yeah.
I know I talked to a lot of people about them building CRMs, what CRM is going to look like. Talk to people who are very high up in the software game. They're like, it's hard to invest and go hard to build a software company right now because at some point, it's not going to be a CRM. It's going to look totally different.
Yeah, I agree. That's also a prediction I've got, which I don't really hear anyone talk about this, but every single platform at the very least will be AI assisted.
Yeah.
So not just like a chatbot in the corner, but you can literally talk to it and it'll do something for you. And you're already starting to see this on different platforms. Like I was actually trying this out with Google's, I guess you could still consider it Gemini within Gmail. So I was in my email account. I was looking through a thread with my client and I was looking to see because we were about to push his site live and I wanted to look through the thread, but it was like 50 emails at least. I wanted to look if he's given me access to his domain yet. And I asked Gemini or whatever the tool is within Gmail, hey, did this client give me access to his site? And it goes, no, he hasn't. I go, okay, perfect. So like there will essentially be an AI with every single platform. And that will be social platforms. That will be your CRM, like you said. There will be everything will be much more personalized and much more custom, which I think I'm totally bullish on. I really like that. I want things to be exactly how I want them to be, and you can talk to the AI bot and like reconfigure my CRM a little bit. I want my SOPs over here, and well, no, we want to track these 5 KPIs, not these 7, whatever. I think it's overall a good trend as long as you are decision oriented, you know what you want, and you're a creative person. Also, that you have, I guess you could say, an open mind. Like you can kind of think about things differently, um, and see like, I think we could make the CRM better, and then ultimately the limit is you.
Yeah, and so like going as far as like scheduling and what it's gonna eventually run our company because it's gonna pull all the data that we need to pull, and it's gonna make the best decisions on the data. So like when it comes to let's say a rain day where it's gonna like take all your customers, move the customers, reschedule them for the next day, like it's gonna check the weather, it's gonna do all these things for us, where we won't even have to manually do it all.
Yeah.
Like it'll take routing to a whole new level. Like optimize the routing better than we could ever route it the way it's routed now. Like it's gonna change everything. It's gonna be almost hands off.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be insane. And I mean, one thing I'll say is that I am also really bullish on the home services industry because it's funny. People thought that the creative workers were going to be the last ones
For
to
sure.
get taken. You know, I started my career as a copywriter, and copywriting, although you know there's still a place for super expert copywriters, but copywriting has kind of become democratized. And if you're not a pro, if you're not really good, then ChatGPT can beat a lot of standard copywriters.
Yeah.
Like you were even asking me, you know, like are there any copywriters you know? I'm like, dude, unless they're really good, like ChatGPT is going to be better than them. So that's just something to consider there. That everything is kind of getting democratized, right? So there's more opportunities than ever, but you have to stay up to date with stuff and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of the M&A people are doubling down on services because they don't see going anywhere anytime soon. So even with JP talking to him, like they've been trying to figure out robotic lawnmowers for 25 years. And like
Really?
it's like one of the easiest services to go do is
Yeah.
as far as service industry goes, is to go mow a lawn. It's still just not quite there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's never gonna happen because it is. Like
Mhm.
robots are coming out. Elon says there's gonna be 500,000 robots in the next 5 years. They can have the robot go do pest control. Like I get it.
Yeah. No, things are moving crazy fast. And I mean, a stat that might scare you is that things are literally moving exponentially, which there's like a
Hockey stick,
straight up,
yeah.
yeah, hockey stick curve basically. Things are, and people debate between these two that things are either tech is growing at a 10x rate every 6 months, or some people say every 12 months. But if you keep 10xing every year, it's like this stuff's going to be crazy. So I think that's why it's important. And, you know, it's impossible to stay completely on top of these things. I know I've positioned myself as an expert on the show, but I don't want to say that my answer or my consensus or opinion is like the be all end all. I know everything because things are changing so fast. I'm just telling you what I know, what I've seen personally, and from the people that I've talked to.
Cool. I think we should wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
It's been a great show. Appreciate being here. Wait, what about the book?
Yeah, let's talk about the book.
I think we should talk about the book.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit here. So the book Zip Code Kings, we're so excited to get this launched. We had the idea, I think it was about 6 to 9 months ago. I kind of floated it around. You know, I released my book about 6 months ago, and I texted you and Jake, our group chat, and I said, "Hey, you know, just released my book a little bit ago. If you guys are looking to release your own, or if you guys even want to release one together one day," you guys are all like, "Dude, let's just release one together like now."
Yeah, it was one of those things that I had been thinking about for a long time, like a bucket list. And I was like, never gonna, but I think I'd ever actually do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this is how it's done. This is how we're gonna do it. I'm like, oh, well, that sounds pretty cool. So yeah, it took a lot of work. We had a lot of time into the book, which has
Yeah.
been fun. But it's gonna be awesome.
Oh no, it's gonna be so good. So I mean, I can give you like a little bit of rundown.
Let's do it.
So yeah, the book is 15 chapters and there are 72 sections.
Up to this point.
Yeah. We may add more in the future and so on. But 15 chapters. Jonas has 7, I have 4, and Jake has 4. So it's co-authored between the 3 of us. Jonas, obviously being the total pro, you take about half the book. He talks about branding, about traditional marketing, about, let's see what else, like KPIs,
Recruiting.
selling your company, yeah, recruiting, hiring A players, all these different things. And I talk about SEO, PR, some of these other things, conversion rate optimization. Jake talks about Facebook ads, automation, Facebook groups. And ultimately, we cover a lot of different topics, but basically all of it comes down to growing your pest control company, right? Some of these things, it's like, well, what do I need to know about KPIs? Or, am I really going to start buying companies yet? But really, after you read the book, if you even implement a fourth of what we say, because there's just so much there. We talk about all the top lead generation strategies, even things like paid directories, all the things you need to know to track people to hire. I think it's really like a non-negotiable to read the book. When, like you said, we've just put so much time into it, and also it comes from all of our experience. And also something I'd like to mention is it's almost like us three are like the perfect marketing trifecta for pest control, because we all have our own skills. You're really good at branding and really good at sales and really good at hiring. I'm really good at the SEO and PR and copywriting side. Jake's really good at the Facebook groups, Facebook ads.
As we're recording this, he's in the room working on it right now.
Yeah, no, literally, he's doing Facebook ads for Jonas in the other room right now. So it seems like we've really come together and created like the perfect storm for pest control marketing. So it's been a total grind, but I think you guys are going to really like it. It comes out October 20th, and that is Zip Code Kings. So there should be a pre-order link in the description, or if it's already out, then an order link, or just go ahead and go to Amazon and search up Zip Code Kings after October 20th.
And not to, I almost never plug anything on mine ever. I don't plug anything. As you guys watch the show for 150 episodes, I just don't plug anything. Yeah. One thing I will plug is our free school group.
Oh, yeah.
So, super pumped about this one.
Yeah. So we're starting a free school group, which we've had our paid group for a while. We've been running it through another platform. We're switching that now to school, so we can have that be more of a community. Also, it's a little bit easier to watch the courses. You can watch them on your phone. You can interact on your phone, which, I've been in school groups, and I'm the kind of person where probably half the videos I'm going to watch on my phone, just because
me too.
I might be at lunch or I might be on a walk or whatever. So we are switching our paid group to the school platform, and we're also creating a free group. So we're going to have some free videos there. We are going to do some calls there occasionally and tons of good stuff there. And also, I don't think we mentioned this, maybe just because we've done so many videos, I forget exactly what's been plugged, but also we are starting a YouTube channel at Pest Control Millionaires, and we are going to put...
With an S.
Yeah, with an S. So not Pest Control Millionaire, Pest Control Millionaires. And we're going to put 72 videos, which are the same kind of sections from the book, on that YouTube channel, along with some case studies of ours, people from our program, some coaching calls, tons of content that we're going to put out there. So definitely make sure to go subscribe to that channel as well.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being here, and see you on the next one, I
guess. Yeah, see you on the next one, Jonas.
See you.
Thank you for having me. It's been great being here in Escanaba, filming tons of content. So
good old Escanaba.
Yeah, right.
So throwing your ChatGPT in the garbage.
Yeah, no, we're gonna say that Pest Badger was number one. Maybe we just added that in the post.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, thanks, Jonas.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.